Hi, this is your host Kapil Bhartiya and welcome to your Let's Talk. Today we have with us Karthik Krishnan, CEO and co-founder of Concentric AI. Karthik, it's great to have you on the show.
Thank you, Swapnil, for having me.
It's my pleasure. Of course, today we are going to talk about data security posture management. But before we deep dive into this topic, I would love to know a bit about the company itself. Since you are co-founder and CEO, so give us the history and the story of the company, and also security, depending on who you talk to, may be seen as a solved problem. It's a sticky area. What challenges you still saw that needed to be solved, which led to the creation of this company?
Concentric AI was founded 5 years ago. And a little bit about my background: I've been in security for close to 2 decades now. And Concentric's genesis was really a chance conversation I had with a CISO when I was VP of HPE. And the conversation went something like, hey, he was asking me, hey, do you guys do anything around data security? Because I'm struggling to get a good handle on a lot of my data. And I'm worried that if the auditors were to come calling, I am likely to get fined. And when we took this feedback to a broader set of security professionals, some consistent themes emerged where we quickly realized people are struggling with data security because data volumes are growing, often exponentially for most enterprises. Data is also everywhere, sprawled between on-premises, cloud, and the nature of what is worth protecting has also become infinitely more complex. Everything from personally identifiable information to payment card information to business confidential data to intellectual property to financial information. And yet, when you ask customers how they're discovering and protecting their data, it's often just a lot of manual work. One CISO even told me he was spending $5 on people for every dollar in tools that he was bringing in. And yet, after years of effort, getting fairly underwhelming results. And so it became very clear to us that there was a huge problem. The other part that I think was most exciting at some level is, and also puzzling in some sense, was how something as foundational as data security, because for every enterprise, at the end of the day, security is about protecting your data. Because whether it's ransomware, whether it's malware, whether it's any sort of an insider attack, everybody's after your data. And for something as foundational as data security, it just felt like the solutions in the market were fairly underwhelming. And it was very clear that there needed to be a new way in order to solve for what is a fairly pressing problem. And just in parallel, one of my co-founders had been looking at deep learning and transformer technology, which is the underpinnings of a lot of what you see around ChatGPT now. But I'm talking, 2019-20, when he felt like there was a way to use language models to help customers contextually understand their data that is it's a lot more accurate way to understand where all of your sensitive data is. And then once you do that, help them understand where there's risk and help remediate and protect their information. And so that's the journey that we've been on to help bring deep learning and the world of GenAI language models to the world of data security to help customers at the end of the day operationalize data security where they can discover, monitor, and protect without doing a lot of upfront work or requiring large teams for ongoing administration.
We kind of live in a data-driven world, which is funny that I talk to folks, and it is we live in a data-driven world, we live in an API-driven world, we live in a cloud-centric world. And also now we are also living in an AI, and you can also add Gen AI to it. Now depends on how folks look at Gen AI. How is data security different and more challenging or less challenging than just securing your application or securing your environment?
If you look at an application world for the most part, right? The applications are usually managed, operated by your developers, and security teams are responsible either in conjunction with application security or IT security to be able to protect their applications. And there's not a lot of moving parts within that world. Whereas if you look at data security, Security teams are often responsible for the security and compliance around the data. All the while, end users are creating, modifying, duplicating, sharing data all over the place. Like if you think about your Microsoft 365 environment for a typical enterprise, you now have users putting sensitive data in there, sharing it with people halfway around the world, potentially modifying sensitive data, moving it to locations that you least expect to find it. So the environment is a lot more dynamic. And if you ask, for the most part, while security teams are responsible for the security and compliance around their data, if you ask them basic questions like, okay, this is great, but do you even know where all of your sensitive data is? Most enterprises, most security teams will throw their hands up because they have no idea. They have no idea where this data is moving, where it is in the first place. And so if you don't know what you have, it becomes very difficult to monitor, much less protect your information. And so that remains the challenge. In any kind of a environment, you first have to get a good idea of what it is that you want to protect. You can put an effective risk monitoring program around it and then eventually protect that information. And all three legs when it comes to data security are pretty broken.
Now let's talk about understanding and explaining what exactly is data security posture management and how much it has to do with tools, technologies, that are at their disposal, or it has more to do with right practices and culture.
So data security posture management as a category allows enterprises to discover their data, so help them understand where their sensitive data is. So for example, if you're a financial company, it may be a lot of your trading and research data. If you are a tech company, it may be intellectual property. If you're an oil and gas company, it may be export control data. And so whatever data type it is that you care about, the first step in any process to protecting it is to be able to help understand where all of your sensitive data is. So you can say, okay, I know now my sensitive data is in location X, in location Y, and location Z. And once you have discovered the data, the next question is how do you help monitor it for risk and how do you protect that information? So for example, do you know if the right people have access to that information? Do you know if it is being shared in a manner that is consistent with corporate policy? Do you know if it has been classified correctly? So it's been tagged and identified as sensitive or confidential appropriately. And so how do you make sure that data security posture management solutions can help you monitor for risk, help you understand whether it's being accessed appropriately, whether the permissions are correct, whether the location of a lot of this data is correct, whether it's been classified correctly, and also help you remediate a lot of those issues. So from things like data classification to permissions management to monitoring and handling how data is being shared, disabling sharing where it's inappropriate, moving data to the right location. And so gives you a full-fledged data security governance platform that allows you to discover, monitor, and protect your information. And for the most part, traditionally, this has been, like I said, $1 of a solution and $5 to $10 of people. And what data security posture management, what people like Concentric AI, what we try to do is we try to sort of compress that $5 to $10 to where people don't have to spend an arm and a leg on process, where solutions can work in a lot more autonomous manner today than they have traditionally worked, where discovering data doesn't require customers to go write rules and patterns and manage policies. Monitoring doesn't require them to have a good understanding prior of what it is that they're looking for. And so the solution can autonomously provide, understand your data, provide risk insights, and also from a single console, help remediate and protect that information. And that autonomy allows you to deploy solutions that can deliver on the operationalization promise without necessarily requiring large teams and lots of personnel.
Now let's talk about AI. Let's talk about semantic intelligence, because AI is in the name of the company itself. When I talk about AI, I also want to make sure that we talk about things like automation, then we talk about machine learning and AI. Now, AI has been around for decades. We have been using AI. I mean, even my camera, you can see it's tracking using, machine learning and deep learning. Now, with the whole OpenAI, ChatGPT, we have started talking about GenAI as well, which solves a totally different kind of problem. So, talk a bit about how is concentric AI leveraging AI, and which AI technologies are you tapping into?
Yeah, good question. So you're absolutely correct. Machine learning and AI have existed for the longest time. What is new, especially about generative AI technologies, is generative AI is a fundamental step up in terms of what capabilities you can provide, both in terms of its ability to work in an unsupervised manner where you don't have to provide it with a lot of training data. Number two, the models themselves can scale. They get better with more data. Traditional models in the past, after a certain point, models tend to plateau, whereas generative AI models tend to have almost infinite capacity in continuing to improve. And because they can understand data distribution in an unsupervised manner, they can also generate new forms of content. Like for example, what you see with art and media that's getting created as part of generative AI models. Now, the technologies that we bring to the table are essentially generative AI models. So what we're using is language models and semantic models to help customers understand their data, where it goes beyond using a rule or a pattern. The simplest way I like to explain this is traditionally enterprises have done data discovery using things like patterns, where you're looking for the word architecture. And architecture can refer to a building construction document or a software design document. And so, unless you understood the context within which the word is being used, it's almost impossible to really understand true meaning. And so, you need to get away from using regexes and patterns to truly understanding semantic meaning. And so, what we do is when we analyze data, we're developing semantic context where we can tell customers, hey, this is wire transfer data, or this is design. This is some of your design documents. This is corporate tax data, intellectual property. And so we're able to use language models to provide a much richer contextual understanding of the data, which by definition is more accurate, and secondly it gives you a lot more context into your data. And so that's really what we're doing, and at the front end of it, we're using generative AI models to understand data, and then also using that to help customers understand where there's risk to that data from things like permissions, entitlements, etc.
When you talk about Gen AI, we also talk about prompts, because without that, sometimes it does become hard. Gen AI cannot. There is a saying also, you won't get the right answer if you don't ask right questions. So question is sometimes more important than the answer. Google made things easier. You have to just put 2 or 3 keywords. It may give you a feeling. You may ask who is Karthik Krishnan, but the fact is they used to just look at Karthik Krishnan and the name of the company, and they'll show you the page. So with Gen AI, you do need to. So when it comes to prompt, does that also mean that teams need to know those right prompts, or you also make it easier so that they can tap into whatever information they need and get the problem solved? So I just want to understand how you have integrated it, and how you make it easier for security team, for CISOs, to DevOps or developers to leverage that.
Yeah, so we have built our own models. These are proprietary models that we have built from the ground up. We have a patent in this area as well. And what these models do is analyzes data sitting in repositories. So it could be Office 365 or on-premises, Windows file systems, or looking at email traffic, or Snowflake databases. And it develops a semantic understanding of that data to where we're going beyond just rules and patterns to understanding, for example, what type of data is it? Is this an invoice? Is this a contract? Is this intellectual property? And so that contextual view that we're able to provide customers is super important, because for the most part, security teams have traditionally relied on the business units to often tell them, okay, what would you like me to protect? Because your users are doing all sorts of stuff, and I've been charted with protecting this information, but what would you like me to protect? And the business units will come back and give them some keywords and some patterns to go look for, and those things are often fraught with false positives, false negatives. And so consequently, protecting the data is a huge mess. And so what we do here is, because we can do this using semantic language models, it allows for the security teams to have a much richer contextual understanding of the data, and that context allows them to then be able to say, okay, I understand this is my intellectual property, I have to protect it, so let me go and look at who has access to it, let me go make sure that it's classified correctly, let me make sure that if some users have access, like if employees have shared this with their own personal email, I'm going in and essentially disabling access and so on. And so the window, we've made it very, very easy for customers to understand their sensitive data, understand where there's risk to that information, and then help protect and remediate that to prevent data loss.
Just for the sake of our viewers, can you also explain what is semantic intelligence, and is this a very popular practice among vendors, or you folks are the one who are kind of pioneer in this space?
Yeah, so semantic intelligence is the name of our solution. We have pioneered the use of language models in the world of data security. As far as I know, we're the only ones doing it today. And it comes from the fact that there's a lot of hard work that's gone into building these models, making them compute efficient, to where we can fit them into the price points that we have to do to meet customer requirements. And it gives us a tremendous edge when it comes to helping customers discover their data with context, where we're going beyond rules and regexes to more of a contextual view to help discover, monitor, and protect. And so semantic intelligence as a solution does three things for customers. First, it helps them discover all of their sensitive data. Could be on premises, could be in the cloud, could be across email, messaging, collaboration applications, could be structured data, could be unstructured data. We're able to come in, discover all your sensitive data. We can also tell you where there's risk to that data, from things like inappropriate permissioning, sharing, entitlements, risk, etc. And then help remediate and protect that to prevent data loss. And we do that in a fully managed service form factor, where customers don't have to have large teams. They can operationalize this. And we have customers today in everything from tens of terabytes to petabytes across diverse verticals, from financials, healthcare, oil and gas, universities, manufacturing. I'm all looking at different data that may be important to them, but at the end of the day, using us to essentially be able to protect their information without requiring large teams, where the system has made it that easy for them to be able to do this.
When we look at semantic intelligence, does the data have to be structured or unstructured? It has to be on-prem, public cloud, private cloud. Can you talk about that aspect as well?
Yeah, one of the unique things about what we do is our solution is pretty agnostic. It can support on-premises data, it can support cloud data, it can support email and messaging applications. It could be a database like SQL Server or Snowflake. It could be unstructured data repositories like Box, Office 365, Google, Box, Windows file systems. Could be on premises, could be in the cloud. We're probably only one of the few vendors that is completely agnostic. We can provide the same level of capabilities to discovering and protecting your data on premises as we can to cloud data. And so we have more than 50 repositories today that we can connect back into and provide these insights. And that's a list that's also growing on a continual basis.
Awesome, thank you. And if I'm not wrong, you folks have done another round of funding, Series B. Talk a bit about the investor, the amount, and also what are the areas where you are looking at growing the company?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. Yes, we just announced our Series B raise. Thrilled to raise 45 million in an oversubscribed Series B round that we just closed. Top tier capital partners, Harbor West Partners, and Cyber Future, which is a global consortium of CISOs, all invested in this round alongside our existing investors as well that participated. This round of funding is pretty significant for us because we've had substantial market traction over the last year. We've tripled our customer count. We have grown 300% year over year. We're close to 100 employees now, looking to double the company and bring in significant this round is going to allow us to significantly expand our sales and marketing, and not just in the US, but also worldwide. So build out our go-to-market efforts from sales personnel, building out our partner efforts. 50% of our business now is channel inbound, where partners are actually bringing in disenfranchised, disaffected unhappy data security customers to the table that we've been able to then help them from a data security standpoint. And so will allow us to build that out. In addition to the fact that the substantial engineering effort that has to happen to build out this de facto, we have ambitions to be the de facto data security governance platform for the enterprise. That is a one-stop shop for enterprises to have all of their questions answered: discovery, monitoring, remediation, post-forensics investigations, all the questions that they have around their data. In order to be able to accomplish that vision, we're just getting started. And so this will allow us to significantly scale our engineering activities as well.
Karthik, thank you so much for joining me today, and of course talk about the company Concentric AI and also the areas that you folks are working on, and awesome growth there. Congratulations. And I would love to have you back on the show. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you, Swapnil. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.